The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Hey! It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Now and then, once he's done, they will probably recess, and then there are still two more people to be called today. Laura Cooper from the Department of Defense and the Deputy Secretary of State, David Hale, who worked for Mike Pompeo.
Official acts in order to get political favors, in order to get an investigation against his rival. Getting caught is no defense, not to a violation of the Constitution or to a violation of his oath of office. And it certainly doesn't give us a reason to ignore our own oath of office. We are adjourned.
Okay. Wow. People, these witnesses have received standing ovations and rounds of applause, and it's amazing how Americans, good Americans, understand that if we allow this to stand, if we allow a president to extort a nation at war that is an ally of ours, who isn't asking us to go to war for them, is simply asking for a show of support by inviting the new president to the White House and asking for military aid and security aid, and the president conditions our help that's been appropriated by Congress and signed off on by him, that if we condition that kind of release of our taxpayer dollars to something that we all agree is necessary, and so Congress appropriates it, then we are no better than Turkey. We're no less corrupt than, people want to tell me Ukraine is corrupt. Ukraine, this is interesting because the witness this afternoon, Laura Cooper, who works for the Department of Defense, I assume she is going to testify that all the anti-corruption benchmarks that we asked of Ukraine had been met, and still we didn't release the aid. So, but if we don't uphold our laws, if we don't abide by our Constitution, if we somehow say this man is above the law and he can do whatever he wants, we're no better than Turkey, we're no better than China, we're no better than Saudi Arabia, we're no better, and if we allow the president to ask foreign governments to investigate American citizens, let alone political enemies, or then we are Saudi Arabia that literally kills and dismembers journalists. Then we are North Korea, who literally tried in a show trial Otto Warmbier, an American citizen, and sent him home, and he died in a coma. This is what the right wing is advocating for us to do, is to become like North Korea, to allow foreign governments to investigate American vice presidents and their sons in order to help them defend themselves from our acknowledged interferer from our acknowledged enemy, Russia. This was just the most insane effort I've ever seen in my life. Now, I just want to play you a couple of quick things so that you can hear Sondland's opening, where he implicates each and everybody in the Trump administration in this scheme, and leaves no doubt in anybody's mind that the president was extorting this country and using an official act in exchange for something of value.
So let me make a few key points. First, Secretary Perry, Ambassador Volker, and I worked with Mr. Rudy Giuliani on Ukraine matters at the express direction of the President of the United States. We did not want to work with Mr. Giuliani. Simply put, we were playing the hand we were dealt. We all understood that if we refused to work with Mr. Giuliani, we would lose a very important opportunity to cement relations between the United States and Ukraine. So we followed the president's orders. Second, although we disagreed with the need to involve Mr. Giuliani, at the time we did not believe that his role was improper. as I previously testified, if I had known of all of Mr. Giuliani's dealings or his associations with individuals, some of whom are now under criminal indictment, I personally would not have acquiesced to his participation. Still, given what we knew at the time, what we were asked to do did not appear to be wrong. Third, let me say, precisely because we did not think that we were engaging in improper behavior, we made every effort to ensure that the relevant decision makers at the National Security Council and the State Department knew the important details of our efforts.
I know nothing.
The suggestion that we were engaged in some irregular or rogue diplomacy is absolutely false.
Believe me.
I have now identified certain State Department emails and messages that provide contemporaneous support for my view.
Whoops. He just, told Congress, really, you need to turn this into a giant RICO Act. The entire administration is involved in racketeering and corrupt practices. And, I didn't know Rudy Giuliani was working with Parnas and Fruman. Oh, I didn't know he was a bad guy. Oh, I didn't know. I never watched him on TV. I never read the New York Times, even though I was working on Ukraine. I didn't want to be working with Rudy Giuliani. So when Rudy Giuliani started telling the New York Times and Rudy Giuliani started telling Fox News on May 6th and May 9th that they were investigating the Bidens, I just tuned that out. I didn't. See, they're trying to save themselves, but they understand that in order to save themselves, they have to give the president. They have to give facts about the president and a quid pro quo, which he testified to.
These emails show that the leadership of the State Department, the National Security Council, and the White House were all informed about the Ukraine efforts from May 23rd, 2019 until the security aid was released on September 11th, 2019. I will quote from some of those messages with you shortly. Fourth, as I testified previously, Mr. Giuliani's requests were a quid pro quo for arranging a White House visit for President Zelensky. Mr. Giuliani demanded that Ukraine make a public statement announcing the investigations of the 2016 election, DNC server, and Burisma. Mr. Giuliani was expressing the desires of the President of the United States, and we knew these investigations were important to the President.
Believe me.
Fifth, in July and August of 2019, we learned that the White House had also suspended security aid to Ukraine. I was adamantly opposed to any suspension of aid. I was adamantly opposed to any suspension of aid, as the Ukrainians needed those funds to fight against Russian aggression. I tried diligently to ask why the aid was suspended, but I never received a clear answer. Still haven't to this day. In the absence of any credible explanation for the suspension of aid, I later came to believe that the resumption of security aid would not occur until there was a public statement from Ukraine committing to the investigations of the 2016 elections and Burisma, as Mr. Giuliani had demanded.
Fatality.
That's it. That's a game, set, match, everybody. That's baseball, Susan. That's what that is. All right, Zoe in California. May I help you?
Who is it?
You, Zoe.
Oh, it's me. Yes. Hi, Randy.
Hi, Zoe.
I want so much to give praise to Adam Schiff. What he just said before they recessed is unbelievable. He is so bright, and he's got it. He's got it all. And that speech that he just gave needs to be highlighted again and again and again. because he is brilliant. He said it all. And why the heck would this ambassador give $1 million to Donald Trump's campaign?
Well, because he wanted to be an ambassador. He wanted to live the jet-setting lifestyle. He wanted to, be on government
He
flight.
wanted to be another hotel owner, right?
No,
he wanted to be the big man like Mr. Trump.
No.
Because we have two narcissistic people that think they have a sense of entitlement.
He actually is a hotelier. That's what his job is.
I know he is.
So he runs a whole bunch of full-service hotels. He gave $1 million to Trump because he wanted to buy an ambassadorship. He wanted this jet-setting lifestyle. He wanted to be involved in, the global, comings and goings. That's why he bought this ambassadorship.